Do you want to tone up without putting on muscle? Well, unfortunately, on the one hand, you can't, and on the other hand, you still can't. And the reason why is because toning up and building muscle are just two words or two terms that mean the exact same thing, marketed at different demographics. You cannot tone up without building muscle. You cannot build muscle without toning up. They are the exact same thing. And the reason as to why they're synonyms is literally because if you go up to Sally from Derby, 32-year-old single mother who just wants to, get some definition in her body, have a nicer bum, lose a little bit of fat around the waist, and be a little bit more confident taking a kid swimming, for example. If you say to her, okay, cool, we need to start building muscle, she'll instantly get the mental image of Ronnie Coleman and Arnold Schwarzenegger in the middle of a Gold's Gym, screaming at each other in between repetitions, injecting testosterone into their arseholes. So it just doesn't accurately represent what Sally from Derby wants. And the thing with Ronnie Coleman, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and all those golden era bodybuilders is that they are the poster boys for the word mass or muscle. Even though just because you do start to build mass and build muscle doesn't mean you are going to look like them. Because the thing is, whenever you start building muscle, you are going to naturally build mass anyway. But that isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. And this is why weight gain sometimes isn't a bad thing, especially if that weight that you put on is through muscle gain. If you put weight on through fat gain, then I can kind of start seeing where you might get a little bit deflated and a little bit disappointed and a little bit upset with yourself. But if you put on weight and that weight isn't body fat, then what seems to be the issue? But now I'm getting into a little bit of a tangent, and that's a video for another day. But what I'm trying to say is, if you want to tone up, you need to do the exact same thing as someone who wants to build muscle would do. No, you're not going to tone up by jumping on a treadmill or doing light weight at light intensity for a lot of reps, because these things are not going to be optimal for building muscle. You need to start doing resistance training, focus on increasing the intensity every time that you go in, or even more specific, progressively overloading the exercise. And ideally, you should be hitting around the 7 to 9 intensity rating at the very minimum. And the best way to know whether or not you're hitting a 7 to 9 out of 10 intensity rating is by something called having reps in reserve. And what a rep in reserve is basically if you get to the end of a set and you can think to yourself, if I really did push that, I reckon I could have got 2 or 3 more reps out. That's 2 or 3 reps in reserve. Now, ideally, you should be about 2 or 3 reps in reserve for each exercise that you do at the very minimum. Get to the end of the set, and then think to yourself, I could get 2 or 3 more reps out. If you say to yourself, I could have got 6 or 7 more reps out, take the weight up. If you say to yourself, I don't think I could get any more reps out, then you have gone to a failure, which to a certain extent sometimes is okay, but the majority of your exercises should be at least 1 to 2 reps short of that. And that's what you need to do in order to tone up or build muscle, because they mean the exact same thing, and you don't need to be going into the gym, jumping on a treadmill, and then doing 20 million repetitions of lateral raises at a very, really, really, really low weight in order to tone up, because all that's going to do is it's going to make you tired, and it's also going to be more likely than not a little bit more cardio based than hypertrophy and strength based. And you need it to be hypertrophy and strength based rather than cardio based in order to build muscle, because if it's cardio based, then all you're going to do is build muscle for your heart and build the strength of your heart, or more specifically, your cardiovascular system. But you don't want to build up your cardiovascular system because you're doing this for a vanity-based reason. You want to see your progress rather than just assume it's happening on your heart. Because when you start to do a shit ton of repetitions at a relatively low intensity, that's when it starts to become cardiovascular-based, i.e. jogging. So yeah, go into the gym, resistant train, progressive overload, and do what you would do if you were trying to build muscle, because it's the exact same thing as what you want in regards to toning up. Stop getting confused between the two. They mean the same thing. I hope that helps, and I hope that makes sense. If you like this video, make sure that you give it a like. If you've got any questions for me, make sure that you comment below, because I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. And if you want to catch any more free fitness or fat loss based tips without any of the bullshit, as always, make sure that you're either following my Instagram at k.p_health or subscribe to this channel. Peace.